Excellent. Well, welcome everyone to the Committee on Taxation. We're gathered today for work sessions on several bills. I guess we'd like to start with introductions, and we have an announcement to make after that. So we will begin with Senator Pouliot.
Hey, good morning. State Senator Matt Pouliot, representing Senate District 15, the towns of Augusta, China, Oakland, Sydney, Vassalboro.
And I don't see Representative Bickford or Representative Carmichael or Representative Collins. Representative Gramlich. Oh, Representative Collins, I'm sorry, I didn't see you. Go ahead.
Oh, you want me to introduce myself?
Yeah, if you can.
Hi, I'm Representative Benjamin Collins. I represent House District 42, part of the city of Portland.
Excellent. And Representative Gramlich.
Oh, good morning, Senator. Do you want me to introduce myself?
Sure.
I'm Representative Lori Gramlich. I represent House District 13, which is the lovely seaside community of Old Orchard Beach.
All right, and Representative Hanley.
Good morning. Thank you, Senator. I'm Jeff Hanley. I represent District 87, which is Pittston, Alna, Wiscasset, and Randolph.
All right, I don't see Representative Kryzak. Representative Matlack.
Good morning, I'm Ann Matlack. I represent House District 92, which includes the communities of Cushing, Thomaston, South Thomaston, St. George, Matinicus, Cree Haven, and the Muscle Ridge Islands.
And Representative Perry.
Yes, good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm Joe Perry. I represent part of Bangor and part of Orono in the main house.
And Representative Sachs.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Melanie Sachs, and I'm honored to represent District 48, which is Freeport and part of Pownell.
And Representative Terry.
Good morning, I'm Mo Terry. I represent District 26, the west side of Gorham, and I serve as House Chair.
And I'm Senator Ben Chipman. I represent Senate District 27, which is part of the city of Portland, also serve as Senate Chair of the committee. And with us today, we have Avery Page as our committee clerk and Julie Jones, our committee analyst. Before we start, there are three bills that we're not going to take up today, which are LDs 1651, 1678, and 1689. So 1651, 1678, and 1689 will not be taking up today. And other than that, we plan to take the bills in order that they're listed on Julie's chart, with the exception of LD 1569. We'd like to take that up first, and then we will start with 241 and work down through the chart. So I'd like to open up the work session on LD 1569. This is Representative Gramlich's bill and act regarding an excise tax on water extracted for commercial bottling. And we'll let our analyst Julie Jones walk us through the analysis on this bill before we discuss it.
Thank you. To get my paperwork all organized here for the order. 1659, as you mentioned, is Representative Gramlich's bill. This bill would create an excise tax of 5 cents per gallon of water extracted by a bottled water operator. The excise tax is for the privilege of extracting water for commercial bottling for sale. The tax applies to bottled water operators who extracted more than 1,500,000 gallons of water in the previous calendar year. And a bottled water operator is a person who is engaged in the business of bottling or packaging water for sale. Maine Revenue Services indicated that the administrative costs were potentially significant, so this would be a new tax that would not fall under anything that they're currently administering. They did not provide any information about potential revenue, but they did indicate that they had technical concerns with the bill if you want to move forward with it.
Okay. I'd like to, I guess, maybe now call on the sponsor. I think she's got some ideas around this bill, and I'd like to give her a few minutes to explain what her thoughts are.
Thank you, Senator, and thank you everybody for your indulgence. So, you know, I'm just really vested to make sure that in Maine, every man, woman, and child has clean, safe, accessible drinking water. And so I would really love to have a bigger conversation about the implications of water extraction, generally speaking. But I know that in my community in Saco Bay, Maine Water is planning to initiate a rate increase due to the fact that they've had to build a new water treatment facility, which is very much needed. But we in my district, in my community, are going to incur a 75% rate increase eventually, which is going to be huge for the people in my district, certainly. So I'm wondering if we might want to take a bigger picture look at water extraction, clean, accessible drinking water. We know that we've had PFAS in a lot of our sludge and groundwater, as well as an extraordinarily high rate of arsenic in residential wells. For example, Maine has a 20% higher incidence of bladder cancer due to arsenic in wells. And that's a lot of remediation that we need to address. So, you know, my initial thought was, while the bill does not have an allocation to where the revenue would go, my hope would be that revenue would go toward assuring that we all have clean, safe drinking water, and maybe having some sort of a program that would help folks who aren't able to pay their water bills from their tap. But I'm certainly open to suggestions, and that's just my bigger picture kind of perspective. But I would like to be sure that we're protecting and assuring that we all have clean, accessible drinking water.
Sorry, I didn't know Senator Chipman stepped away. Senator Pouliot.
Thank you. So I definitely support the goal of making sure that people have clean, accessible drinking water. I mean, I don't think there's probably anybody in the legislature that would not support that. You know, humans can't really live very long without good quality water. I just think that this is an unfair tax on one company. I question whether or not this is constitutional. I just, you know, it's tough because we have a lot of things that we, you know, I think have shared common goals on, like making sure people have access to good, clean drinking water. But, you know, putting an excise tax on one of Maine's more significant employers, I don't think is a good way for us to make sure that, you know, people are able to keep their jobs and the cost of this product is able to, you know, to stay reasonable. So I'm not going to be supporting the tax. I think we could look at other things and you know, outside of this committee, because we're only talking about taxes here, that could help us to achieve some of our goals. But I can't support this, and I hope that, you know, we can agree that we can look for other ways to do this.
Thank you. Representative Bickford.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I haven't seen any science brought to us at all showing that the extraction of water for bottling has any impact whatsoever on Maine's groundwater or on the incidence of arsenic in wells or on one municipality having to upgrade their water extraction for their city. This is just an unfair tax, as Senator Pouliot said, that attacks one company only. It doesn't go after your brewers. It doesn't go after your dairies that use millions of gallons a year flushing their systems. And, you know, I'm just going to make the motion now, ought not to pass. This is a ridiculous bill, as it is every session.
I think maybe
I second the motion.
we can thank you, Representative Hanley. So we have a motion on the table, ought not to pass, from Representative Bickford, seconded by Representative Hanley. Committee discussion, Representative Sachs. Oh, okay. Sorry, Representative Sachs, you took your hand down.
I did, only because I was hoping for more discussion before a motion was made.
Well, that's okay. We can certainly discuss. The motion's been made and now we are in discussion. So if you'd like to ask your question, you can.
So I agree. Being new to the committee, I've tried to do a lot of research, and there must be something to this because it comes up time and time and time again. And I support the sponsor sort of broadening the scope of what is the problem we're trying to solve here, and the science around that. I would support sort of further investigation of that so that there is solid ground, so to speak, to talk about whether this really is an impactful way to talk about a commodity like water. And we do a lot of bills incentivizing certain industries. So I'd be interested to know if those are also unconstitutional when we target a tax credit for one industry or one company, as you've mentioned IDEX before. And so is this similarly in that same vein? So these are these questions I've been asking around this bill for the last week or so.
Representative Collings.
Yes, thank you, Representative Terry. So a few things, different industries of different magnitudes can be treated differently in the state. I'm not so concerned about constitutional issues. We have some industries such as large casinos, which are a very unique business, and they have different tax rates. We have many large companies throughout the state with unique circumstances, and based on what they do and what they take from the state and different relationships of that nature, we have different tax structures to mitigate what the impact might be on our state. I believe that water should be a right for everyone in the state. And whereas whether you're getting public or you have your own private well, there are issues with safe drinking water throughout the state and the impact on our health. And the fact that exists, those disparities, while a luxury for most people of bottled water is a for-profit business by international companies, I think we do need to look at this. And this is something people across the state are talking about. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a referendum on this coming up very, very soon. And I think that this is something we should discuss and study and act on before the citizens take it into their own hand and make their own decision. So I think that this committee should discuss this more and look at this. All around this country, communities and states are looking at taxing bottled water and what the impact is. And as in Maine doesn't have droughts right now, but other parts of the country, there's droughts around the world. There's different natural catastrophes that lead to a shortage of accessible water. And that's just going to allow this public resource of water to be exploited and to people are going to make tons of money off of people not having clean water in the future. So with that in mind, I think we need to discuss this further and look at this. I think it is something important, and I support the concept, and I'm trying to figure out how we could do something, because I think in Maine, and I don't want to conflate things and get off topic, but I'm concerned when we give up something so valuable like water for profit, that the state and the citizens of the state should get something for that. And currently, I don't think that we do get much for what we're giving up of probably what our most precious resource is in this state. So I think we need to do something, and not just us in this committee. I believe all around the state, the people of the state are looking for something more balanced on this issue.
Thank you. Representative Hanley.
Yes, thank you, Representative Terry. I think we all received the information from Mr. Mulvaney from the Maine Geological People Department, and his illustrated explanation of how much water is in the water table in Maine is stunning. When I was on the Energy Committee last session, he came in and demonstrated it. And he said, take a block of paper you would buy at Staples or one of those places, 500 sheets. He said, and imagine that as the water table, the available aquifer under Maine soil, and take off the top sheet, rip it in half, then he ripped that in a quarter, and then peel off a piece of that. And he said that piece represents the entire use of all water in Maine, all extraction from all wells, public and private. He said the aquifer in Maine is incredible, monstrous. We're not even touching the edge of it. And when you start taxing extraction of water, I worked for Sappi Paper in Skowhegan, and that company, which is a wonderful company, produces wonderful jobs, great benefits, great employer. They extracted 24 million gallons a day. I know because I worked in the water treatment and waste treatment plant in that facility for 7 years. And we watched the flow in and flow out. Are we going to start taxing the use of that kind of water as well and cripple another industry? I think we have to be logical about this. This is an unreasonable tax, unnecessary. We're not at all endangering our water capacity in this state. And you should all take some time and read Mulvaney's report. Very interesting. Thank you, Madam Chair.
You're welcome. Representative Bickford.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The issues that were raised by Representative Collins, where they may be valid issues, water extraction for bottling does zero, absolutely zero to impact any of those issues. And I'd like Senator Pouliot to chime in on this, because I believe that if you own a piece of land, you own from the center of the earth to space. That is your land, below and above. And Senator Pouliot might be able to expand on that, but you own that. We're taxing them on something they own. Come on.
Senator Pouliot, would you care to answer or help Representative Bickford out?
Yeah, I mean, Maine does have, mineral rights as well too for the land that is below your feet, so to speak, to the core of the earth. It would be real interesting to see somebody try to go all the way down to the core of the earth. But yeah, I mean, I just, this is tough, right? Because, I don't want to, I respect Representative Gramlich and all members of the legislature, and everyone should have a right to put every bill in, that they want. I know that this is a kind of recurring theme that comes up over and over. I don't know. I'm concerned that it's a slippery slope, that we start with this particular, one, and then where does it go from here? Am I going to start having to pay? Like there are other states, where people have to pay different fees and so forth for stuff like water. And I just don't, I think that's a dangerous thing. Maine, has a long history of not doing that. And I just don't, I don't want to go down that road. I think there's other ways that we can address shortages or access to good, clean water other than, taxing people for water.
Representative Perry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I'm going to talk for a while on this, so get ready. Hopefully you can hear. I agree with everything I've heard from every member so far. And this bill has come up a number of times, and I feel like the issues behind this bill go a mile deep, and we get the top layer over and over every time. We've never delved down a mile deep. And my default position is to vote no on things I don't fully understand. I don't think we've ever fully understood this. And with some of the new issues that have come up, PFAS, what's going to happen if PFAS gets into their water supply? What's going to happen to their business? What's going to happen to Maine's reputation? If this is going to go out to referendum, as it likely is, I wouldn't really want to see this settled on 30-second commercials on both sides. So I would like to delve much deeper. Now, if in fact the water, if it weren't used for bottling, would simply flow into the ocean, as we've heard, and Maine has so much water. I mean, is there an opportunity for a strategy to export water from this state to parts of the world that have a deficit of water and make billions of dollars and get rid of our income tax and fix our roads or whatever? I'd like to know about that if it's going to come with no harm. So I honestly would like to get all the answers to this once and for all, as best we can, and hear from all the interested parties. And the jurisdiction of what I'd like to know about probably goes beyond the tax committee, but I would really like to study this and fully understand. Now, just one other example: in Bangor, we have 100 miles of water lines. Some of them are 100 years old or more, and based on the constraints the PUC puts on us for billing, we can only afford to replace 1 mile of line per year. How are we ever going to keep up on our infrastructure? So the water issues are endless. So I would be supportive. I can't support the bill to simply pass it forward the way it is, but I would be supportive of getting to the bottom of this once and for all and seeing if there's any answers out there that may include a tax or may not.
Thank you, Representative Perry. Representative Sachs.
I just want to be clear about what Representative Perry is proposing. Are you proposing to change this into a study or a resolve to look at sort of the wider issues? Because we did have a lot of great information from the Maine geologist. I read all of the different things that came in, but I agree that whether a tax is or isn't the right strategy for whatever problem we're trying to solve, which is this a commodity that aquifers go far beyond just the property you're standing on? I understand that as well. And that it sounds like you're asking for a deeper dive, which I'd be supportive of. Like I said, there must be something to this, that all of these bills for so many years, and I did some research even back to I think we had a document from 2005. It would be really great to have that, to know, again, whether this is the right strategy or not. Like you said, whether it does a tax or not. And so we realized, Representative Graham, like apparently Representative Perry and I are proposing something that was not in your bill at all. So wonder how you feel about that.
Representative Gramlich.
Thank you, Representative Terry, and thank you everybody for your input. I appreciate everybody's perspective and having a lively, robust discussion about this. You know, as I'm hearing this and thinking about it, I am certainly open and receptive to taking a deeper dive into this. Obviously, this isn't all of a sudden Representative Gramlich's keen idea out of nowhere. This is, as has been mentioned, this issue has been brought up for quite some time. And so, you know, having folks like the Maine Water Association and maybe, you know, having the presiding officers, you know, convene a legislative study that can really take a deeper dive into the bigger picture implications, as I mentioned earlier, with regard to not just simply water extraction and not necessarily who owns the water and the land, but what are we doing as a state to protect our most precious natural resource? And with every other commodity that we've talked about in this committee and within other committees throughout the legislature, if we're going to reference water as a commodity, it is the one thing we cannot, literally cannot live without. We can live without wood and timber. We can live without, I mean, we wouldn't want to, but, you know, there's other industries and other, you know, corporate interests within the state and throughout the country that we really, quite frankly, can live without, but we cannot live without water. And so I'm very receptive to, you know, having a group that can really look at this from a bigger picture perspective. So yeah, I'll stop there because I know others may want to weigh in, but I'm definitely receptive to that. To your point, Representative Sachs.
Senator Chipman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My apologies, I'm kind of in and out this morning, having to go over to transportation for a bill that I have over there that I'm sponsoring. But I guess just 2 points I wanted to ask. Has a motion been made and seconded? And secondly, Representative Gramlich, would the study include various stakeholders, basically from all aspects on this. So it'd be kind of it sounds like a balanced type of study.
I would think so, Senator Chipman, but I think the motion on the table has been presented by Representative Bickford and seconded by Representative Hanley as an ought not to pass. That is the pending motion.
Okay, so we'd have to vote on that, and then there'd be another report maybe for the study. Okay.
Yep. Senator Pouliot?
Yeah. So it looks like we're, so I'm supporting the ought not to pass motion, but it sounds like maybe other members of the committee might want to do some kind of a study. I'm just wondering if it makes sense to do a tax study, or if this should be looked at by maybe the ENR committee or something like that. You know, if we assume, you know, some conservative estimates, you know, we're using less than 0.4% of the water and about 0.5% for bottling facilities. It's equal to about 1.1 inches of water on top of Sebago Lake. So this seems to be like a big effort, you know, for nothing. But so I'm on the ought not to pass, and you know, I think if there's going to be a study, it really not be through some kind of a taxation lens, but perhaps a discussion from an environmental perspective in a different committee.
So I would just, I know that there are other water bills being considered in other committees. I think that as this has come to taxation so many times, and that the proposed solution for making sure that we're treating our water as a real resource, I would want to see it stay, I think, on the taxation committee. Because if there is a problem and we need to fix it, that would be one of the avenues for us to do so with. And again, because we've seen it, I mean, this is my third time on this committee and the third time I've seen this bill, and it sounds like it's been here prior to me for sure. So I think I would prefer for it to stay on here. Representative Bickford.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is my 5th term on this committee, and this is my 5th time listening to this bill.
Yeah.
Not once have I yet heard what the problem is. There is no problem. This is a solution in search of a problem. And that's why I'm vehemently opposed to it, and I will be opposed to any studies. This is not something I can support.
Okay, fair enough. Representative Perry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I actually, in large part, agree with Senator Pouliot, because I would like to see the scope of this go beyond tax. But my thoughts are, one, we have the bill here. Secondly, it's kind of nice for our committee to kind of have some control in it. But really, if it is going to end up on referendum, as I believe it will be a tax question on referendum. And really, if we have such a huge water supply, I'd like to know if we are missing an opportunity to export in bulk and improve our tax structure here in the state of Maine, if that makes any sense at all. So whereas we have the bill right here, I will be voting against the motion in favor of a study. If a study fails, then I think I'd be on the ought not to pass side. But I would like to go down the study route because, as you've all said, it comes up every 2 years. And I believe the information we get in the big picture is a drop in the bucket. And I'd like to get a little more than that.
Okay, any other discussion? So the motion on the table is ought not to pass. All those in favor? Got that, Avery? And those against?
What was the vote?
Uh, uh,
I
ought
have
not-
3 supporting the ought not to pass motion.
On 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It looks like 6 against the motion, so the motion fails. Would anyone like to make another motion?
Madam Chair,
Representative Perry.
thank you. I'd like to move passage of this bill as amended, and I'd like to amend it into a resolve that is a study of, I don't know how to lay it out. I think maybe we'll have to work with Julie on it, but a study of the water issue, the tax issue, and really, I'd like to broaden the scope as much as we can into water questions and tax questions in general. So I guess that's my motion. Ought to pass as a resolve for a study.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Representative Gramlich seconded it. And Joe, you and Julie can get together perhaps after this to discuss the language, and then we can go over it at language review.
But yes, I'm hoping Lori will participate.
Great. Okay, so there's a motion on the table, ought to pass as amended. The amendment turning the bill into a resolve. All those in favor?
So I have 6 supporting the motion.
Okay. And all those opposed?
And I have 4 against the motion.
All right. So that concludes our work session. I lost my page on LD.
Julie has a question.
Oh, go ahead, Julie.
I just want to check and make sure the minority vote against the motion is ought not to pass. Am I correct?
I believe so.
Yes.
Yes, correct.
Thank you.
Okay, so that closes the hearing on LD 1569. And Julie will hop back up to the top of the list and go into work session on LD 241, an act to support the trades through tax credit for apprenticeship programs.
Yep, bringing up chart. Okay, LD 241 is Senator Curry's bill, which would provide an income tax credit of up to $2,500 for an employer employing an apprentice participating in an apprenticeship program registered with the Maine Apprenticeship Program administered by the Maine Department of Labor. It would begin in tax years beginning in 2022. Maine Revenue Services indicates administrative costs of $33,000 for computer programming and revenue loss of approximately $1.5 million a year. And they have other technical concerns that they would like to see clarified if you intend to move forward.
Okay, committee discussion. Representative Pouliot, Senator Pouliot. Oh my gosh.
No problem. I'm used to it. Plus, all the representatives are smarter than senators anyway. That's what I think. So anyway, I think this is a good bill. I think this was Senator Herbig's bill maybe last time around.
Yes.
It was a good bill then. I still think it's a good bill now. So I would move ought to pass as amended for a fiscal note.
Motion has been made ought to pass as amended, seconded by Representative Matlack. Representative Carmichael, were you seconding it, or do you have a question? Okay, committee discussion. All right, all those in favor please raise your hand. Oh, I love it when we do work ahead of time. It's nice. Representative Hanley, are you still with us? No, we'll have to have him vote later. Got that okay, Avery?
Yes.
Thank you. All right. Well, that was scarily easy. That closes the work session on LD 241. Next up, Julie, is LD. Do you have your hand raised? Go ahead. Go ahead.
241.
Yes,
Well,
241.
the motion was ought to pass as amended. I didn't hear what the amendment is.
For a fiscal note, correct, Senator?
Yeah, fiscal note.
Not only,
Yes.
okay.
Is there
Main
something-
Revenue Services had some issues, but you've closed, so I'm not sure what to do about that. But it's fiscal note only, so that's what it'll be. Thank you. Okay, what's next?
Madam Chair, point of order.
Heard. Yes.
Being on the prevailing side, do we need to, can I ask to reconsider the work session so that we can ask our wonderful analyst? And I do note on her summary that MRS had some technical concerns. And so I moved to reopen the work session on LD 241 to address those concerns.
Do we have a second?
Um,
Carmichael?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
perhaps those could be worked out in language review.
Do we want to work them out prior to language review to make it easier on Julie and MRS prior? so we
That's
can-
fine too.
Thanks, appreciate it. So there's been a motion on the table to reconsider from Representative Sachs, seconded by Representative Carmichael. All those in favor? And that is unanimous. So Julie, who from MRS would we like to invite in?
Well, they should designate their own person. This is an income tax credit, so I assume that it would probably be Ms. Popadak, who is in the attendee list. Mr. D'Alessandro is also there. I'm not sure if he's here on this bill, but one or the other of them should be able to address the issues, I think.
Great, they are both on their way in.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Representative Bickford.
I just have a question. We're taking votes and I'm not hearing announced who's voting in favor and who's voting against. Unless it's unanimous, can we get those read, please, for the audience?
Sure, absolutely.
Thanks.
Avery, you got that?
Yes.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I forget the audience cannot see the virtual hands.
And I'm guessing you probably can't see the virtual hands on your phone either. Senator Pouliot,
Oh, yeah, that's right.
question, or you just have your hand up still? No, okay, gotcha. Ms. Popadak, yes? Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
So we understand you have some technical concerns for LD 241.
Yes, if just some technical things on the line 11 of the bill. We would like to have that date be expressed in a little different way as for tax years beginning on or after January 1st, 2022.
Okay. Is that okay with everybody? Seems good. Yep.
Okay. Wanted to confirm whether, because of the size of the credit, is there any cap that's intended to be placed in case of a large employer? I didn't know if there was a cap or no cap.
Meaning like if they have 10 people working for them that, or part of this, they could get 10 credits.
Right, or 100. The report has a few employers with over 100 apprentices per employer. This is going to be acceptable, or would there be an overall dollar cap or a number of employee cap or no cap?
I mean, personally, I would say no cap, but I don't know where how the members of the committee are at.
I sort of feel the same way. Is there language in there that keeps people from taking multiple, from using multiple? Actually, never mind. Scratching that question. Representative Sachs, did you have a question?
Was mine as well. I thought there was. So
There are in other programs that would stop this from being abused. I don't think it would be abused.
Yeah, there's an individual cap per apprentice. So that part does have a cap, but didn't know if you wanted to be silent on an overall cap or have an actual cap placed overall per employer.
I'm comfortable with no cap, and it sounds like Senator Pouliot is as well. Does anybody else feel comfortable or uncomfortable with that? Representative
I'm comfortable with no cap.
All right, we'll stick with that.
Okay, let's see. Just want to clarify, if the tax credit goes through, is the employer also welcome to participate and get benefits from both the DOL program and this cap?
Can you quickly?
I'm sorry, and this program, I'm sorry, this credit?
Yeah, can you quickly go over the DOL program? That's a grant program, correct?
Right. It's to help with the educational expenses of the apprenticeship program. Over the years, this has ballooned. So I think in the most recent year of the report, the credit, because of more apprentices in the program and more employers in the program, shrunk from $1,200 to $500 per apprentice. That's just an effect of the dollar amount staying the overall available funds staying the same, but more applicants to the program. So this would be okay to use this credit in conjunction with Department of Labor benefits for the apprenticeship program.
Any thoughts on that? Representative Carmichael?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think the goal is to have the apprentice, to train the apprentice and get them into the workforce. So if this is another tool to do that, then and we can use them together to make that happen, it's still a good thing, in my opinion.
And let's see. There is one area that was a little confusing because of employers and layers of employers, of contractors and subcontractors. So these different employing units that can qualify as an employing unit. We want to make sure that not to allow more than one employing unit to claim the same hours of an apprentice, same hours of employment for the same apprentice. So if you have a larger employer hiring other companies, going down to the sub-level, and then one layer hires an apprentice, that only at the most immediate level that employer can claim the apprentice benefits rather than each layer.
I semi-recall going over this part of this in the bill last year. Julie, do you remember that as well?
I do not, sorry.
That's okay. Representative Sachs?
thank you, Madam Chair. So Ms. Papadoc, do you have suggested language in terms of how that could be best operationalized for? I see that there's an employing unit definition in Title 26. And is there some tie that we can add that we can look at language review that would get to what you're looking for? Because I do think that's important.
Yeah, I haven't looked that far, so I would have to take that back and see what's available. But I have not looked that far.
Because that would seem to me to be a reasonable indication that those hours can only hit once for one employer. So I'd be supportive of having some language like that available for language review.
That would be great. And anything else, Ms. Papaduck?
I believe that will cover our concerns.
Okay. So that being said, questions answered. Would anyone like to make a motion?
Make the motion ought to pass as amended with those points that we just went over, as well as the fiscal note.
Excellent. Seconded by Representative Matlack. All those in favor, and Avery, if you could read the names, that would be great.
Unanimous of all members present.
Got that,
Yeah,
Avery?
I have Senators Chipman and Pouliot, Representatives Terry, Collins, Gramlich, Matlack, Perry, Sachs, Bickford, Hanley, and Carmichael.
Excellent.
All right. So close the work session on LD 241.
Perfect. Yep, go right ahead.
I guess you want me to continue, Representative Terry, and then if I have to leave, you can pick up, or?
Will you be jumping in and out still?
I don't think, not for a while. I mean, I don't think so. I'm waiting for a call from transportation, which probably won't be for about an hour.
Okay, go for it.
So we'll open up the work session on LD 290. This is Senator Stewart's bill, an act to stabilize property taxes for individuals 65 years or older who own a homestead for at least 10 years. We'll let our analyst walk us through this bill.
Let me bring the chart back up here. Okay. LD 290 is Senator Stewart's bill. This is a bill which has also occurred in previous sessions or something similar to it. This bill would require a municipality at the request of a homestead owner to maintain the property tax on a homestead at the amount billed in the year prior to the year of application. If the owner is a permanent resident of the state who is at least 65 years of age or older, has owned the homestead for at least 10 years and requests that the municipality stabilize the taxes, meaning to maintain them at the amount that the property tax was on the date of which they applied for the stabilization. It also provides that if an eligible individual, after they've been determined to be eligible by the municipality, moves to a different municipality, that they would be eligible to stabilization in the new municipality as well, to maintain that current amount in the new municipality. The municipalities would obviously have to communicate with one another to provide that information to the new municipality. The bill provides that the homeowner must submit an application every year in order for the stabilization to continue. So it wouldn't just be once and then forever. They'd have to apply every single year under this bill. Maine Revenue Services has some technical and legal concerns. There is a potential constitutional issue with regard to the requirement that the person have owned the homestead for at least 10 years. I'm remembering, and I did not have time to do the research to find it, but I'm remembering a court case from more than 30 years ago now. There used to be a requirement in veterans exemption statutes that in order to be eligible, the veteran had to have lived in the state of Maine for 10 years or have been a resident of the state of Maine when they entered the service. There was a challenge to that 10-year requirement, and I do remember that it was found to be unconstitutional to require that the property owner have lived in the state of Maine. It's a violation of the Privileges and Immunity Clause of the US Constitution is my recollection. But again, like I said, I didn't have time to track down that case, so I can't tell you more than what my memory is telling me from 30 years ago. Maine Revenue Services has indicated administrative costs of 90 to, oh, I didn't mention, Maine Revenue Services would be required to, or Maine Revenue, the state would be required to reimburse the municipality for the difference between the stabilized taxes and what the taxes would be if they were not stabilized. Maine Revenue Services has indicated administrative costs of $90,000 to $100,000. They've indicated that there would likely be state mandate costs on the municipality for purposes of administering this type of program, and that there would be municipal reimbursement for the revenue loss. They did not provide figures for those amounts, but they indicated that those are likely to be there.
Terry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I have promoted Mr. Lacey to talk to us if we have any questions. And I think I have a question for him. My question is, currently, our municipalities are allowed to offer abatements to whomever they choose to, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So
Through the abatement procedures, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah. So as this asks for the homeowner to request stabilization, that's pretty close to the same thing as asking for an abatement of sorts.
Yeah. So currently there's basically two types of abatements that a municipality can grant. One would be if there's an issue with the valuation of their house or their property. And the second would be what we call a poverty abatement, where someone can't afford to pay their taxes. The municipality can grant a poverty abatement. That's a year by year. Both of those abatements are a year by year thing. So this is slightly different because forget slightly. So this is different in the sense that it would be kind of a mandated abatement, I guess.
We would require that the municipalities say yes to it if someone were to request it.
Yes, I mean the statute would, as long as they met the requirements of the statute, they would be eligible. Yes.
Yeah. And Julie, I don't see a means test on this. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Lacey.
Julie, if you could take the chart down so we can see each other better, that would be great. Additional committee discussion and debate. Someone like to make a motion on the bill? Go ahead, Representative Sachs.
For those reasons, particularly the means testing one, and because of the current tools already available, I move ought not to pass on this bill.
Second.
You know, I'm not a fan of municipal mandates unless I have to.
So a motion made by Representative Sachs that ought not to pass, seconded by Representative Terry. Any further committee discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion, please signify.
And Avery, if you could read the names out, that'd be great.
Okay, for those in favor of the motion, I have Senator Chipman, Representatives Terry, Collings, Gramlich, Matlack, Perry, and Sachs.
All those opposed?
For those opposed, I have Senator Pouliot, Representatives Carmichael, Hanley, and Bickford.
Okay, so the motion prevails. So we'll now close the work session on LD 290.
Can I
Is there a
ask
motion
what,
from- Yeah, what's the minority position?
thank you.
Senator
To
Pouliot,
pass.
is there a minority position?
Ought to pass amended for a fiscal note.
Have to pass as amended for fiscal note. Okay, great. So we'll close the work session on LD 290, and we will open up the work session on your bill, Senator Pouliot, LD 798, and that to improve the educational opportunity tax credit. We'll let Julie walk us through the analysis, and then we'll hear from you, Senator Pouliot.
Chair.
Yeah, go ahead.
We already went through the analysis before. Remember, we tabled this.
Okay, right. You're right. Yeah, we did. And then we tabled it so you could meet with the sponsors of other bills that had to do with this tax credit and try to get everybody on the same page. So maybe we could hear from you on the result of that work and sort of where everything stands.
Yeah. So the biggest thing really, well, we had a great meeting, and I want to thank all the folks that participated, Representative Babbage, Representative Woods. Senator Brenner wasn't able to be there, but did provide her comments. Representative Hepler and Rep. Sheehan, who we heard from her bill the same day that we had the meeting. So some of the key takeaways from this meeting were, the first is we have to carry this bill over to next session for sure, because MRS needs some time to work on stuff and DECD as well. And so that's, I think, the primary thing for us. But some key points. First of all, right now, the credit is kind of complicated because there are some people that get refundability and some don't. And a lot of that is around STEM. And then it's hard to determine what is STEM and what isn't. And so one of the things that we discussed was to change the credit to a different amount. One of the amounts that we kind of had put down was that it would be reduced just to $3,000, but then it would be up refundable for everybody. So bills like Senator Brenner's, whose was trying to help like the farming community and so forth, a lot of these folks that could utilize help don't have an income tax liability or have a very small one, so they don't really get much of a benefit. So if we did refundable up and then up to 3,000, that could help folks with paying off more debt. But there's obviously some folks in the STEM cohort who are getting refundable credits like big numbers, like $8,000, $10,000, $12,000 maybe, so those folks might be kind of upset. But at some point we have to look at fixing this thing, which is really convoluted and picks winners and losers and so forth, and just make it more, universally accessible. So that seems to be what MRS has been kind of kicking around as an idea, is just one thing that we talked about in the group was making this agnostic on degree type and certificates and all that kind of stuff being included, which was Senator Sheehan's bill. And also from Representative Wood, her idea about making sure that lump sum payments are allowed. So if people were to get, like, say, a tax return or something and just make a payment all at once, that would qualify, for the credit. And then perhaps, also limiting the employer credit piece that's in the bill to maybe just 3,000 as well. So I know that's a lot of information, but the general 30,000 foot level is that this needs to continue to be worked on, and then we could vote out a bill next session, hopefully. And some of the general components of this would be a much more streamlined credit that everybody qualifies for, essentially, but at a lower amount, which would be fully refundable, up to 3,000, because I know that there was a lot of folks who had issues and concerns about the refundability. So I was thinking about this morning, and I thought that there's a couple ways what we could do. First, we could just, carry over this bill, or we could turn it into like some kind of a task force and then, have the authority to report out a bill next session. That's another option, I guess.
Yeah, I kind of like that idea myself, Senator Pouliot, because then it allows the work to continue through the summer and the fall, so that it doesn't sit idle till we come back to it.
Yeah, because if we report the bill over to next session, which we could do, we're kind of like, there's no real formal structure around improving this, you know what I mean? And so if we were to, I don't want to really turn this into a resolve or something, but if we created use it as a legislative vehicle to create some kind of a task force around improving Maine's educational opportunity tax credit, then, I'd like to be on that if possible, if we do that. And maybe some of these other folks who had helped out, definitely MRS, DECD, and then giving us the authority to report out a bill next session, that would be, I think, a good step forward.
Like a working group, maybe, that would have the legislators that sponsor the other bills and yourself. And
yeah, I'm just nervous about if we have any kind of a fiscal note. I guess we'd really have to be committed as a legislature to making sure that that's a priority so that it doesn't die.
Julie, you've got your hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry. I hadn't lowered it from previously.
Okay. So what do folks think about a task force, a working group of some sort on this? Go ahead, Representative Terry.
Yeah, so I have the same concerns that Senator Pouliot does about making this something that will cost anything, because I think that the legislators for sure are committed to making this happen. I wonder if part of the cost of doing something like this over the summers, of course, making sure that everybody can meet and get paid to meet and all that kind of stuff. But I wonder if in our current Zoom situation, if we're still looking at that same sort of that same issue. But I think I feel most comfortable letting Senator Pouliot sort of tell us where he wants to go with this, because it seems to me like he's doing everything that he can to make sure that everybody's voices are heard with this, and making it happen. So Senator Pouliot, if you can, given options, but your preference would be to carry it over, it sounds like.
Yeah, my preference would be to carry it over, and then I really feel confident, like Anya Trundy, at the department, she's very thorough and great, I think, advocate for trying to improve this program. So if we had an unstructured, precedent set, like kind of by this committee saying, we're carrying this bill over, but we want you, Senator Pouliot and other people who have been involved, perhaps this cohort that we put together, I think is a good, to be working with the department and also, at DECD to just kind of come up with the final kind of recommendations that can then be brought back to the committee next session to report this out. That way we don't lose the legislative kind of vehicle, if you will. And I mean, I think a lot of the stuff that was in the bill proposal really is the direction that we were headed in, but with much smaller amounts. Like the bill had 15 and 20%. That's just not going to be financially viable. So I think we need to look at smaller amounts, but I think
got an idea, Senator Pouliot.
we could still do that.
Sorry, Senator Pouliot, I didn't mean to cut you off. I have an idea. How many times, like, what's the minimum number of times do you think that you and the other legislators would need to meet with the ECD and MRS to discuss this? Would you say maybe 3 times between now and next January?
Yeah, I mean, I think that'd be plenty. We got a lot of work done in just an hour the other day.
So we could have like we could carry the bill over and we could write a letter to the department requesting that they meet with you and the other legislators that sponsor the other bills a minimum of 3 times between now and January to work on this bill.
Yeah, I think that'd be fine. I mean, frankly, the department, meaning MRS and DECD, they're already having a lot of internal conversations about ways to improve this. And, you know, the governor could bring forward a bill like at any point in time. So I think that the notion is, let's kind of build upon what internally they're looking to do rather than, you know, reinvent the wheel. And I think 3 meetings with them would be fine. And if they're unstructured, meaning there isn't some legislative directive to have a task force or something, then I don't think we lose out on the funding aspect
Yeah,
of it.
I'm just saying a letter from the chairs, you know, so we would carry the bill over and in the meantime, write a letter from the chairs to DECD and MRS requesting that they meet with you and the other stakeholders a minimum of 3 times between now and the time we, you know, start back up next January.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Does that seem okay to everybody? Go ahead, Representative Terry.
I'd like to make a motion to table and carry over this bill till next session.
Second.
We have a motion made by Representative Terry, seconded by Representative Carmichael to table and carry over LD 798. Any further committee discussion? And does that motion include the letter that we would write as well?
It can, yeah, I'm not 100% positive it's necessary, but it certainly couldn't hurt for sure. Yeah,
We don't discuss tabled bills, right?
not discuss tabled bills, correct?
Oh, yeah, it's motions to table, so I guess we can't discuss that.
I just have a question.
What's the question, Representative Gramlich?
Thank you. And I'm in complete support, but I'm just curious if we've made any determination about what we're doing with carryover bills. Or is this just simply a table motion?
Yeah, this is to table and carry over. We have a sort of running list of bills that we'd like to carry over that we're going to take up, I think, later this week. But so this would go on to that list.
Yep.
Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of the motion, please signify.
You agree that that is unanimous?
That's unanimous.
I do, yes.
Great. So that concludes the work session on LD 798. We'll now open up the work session on LD 978, sponsored by Representative Hepler. This is the bill to create an access to justice income tax credit.
Can I ask a question
Go ahead.
about the last bill? I'm sorry, the questions come up when you're raising your hands to vote, and I don't want to raise my hand because it looks like I'm voting. So if I have questions.
Oh, yeah,
With
go ahead.
regard to 290, which you just voted to table and potentially carry over, there had been discussion about a letter. I was not clear whether a letter would be prepared. I guess that's up to the person who wants the letter. But if people are going to be wanting a letter, I'm going to need to know what should be in the letter. So
That's on 798. So that was the motion. I think Representative Terry was willing to accept that, but it would be a letter from the chairs to DECD and MRS requesting that they meet a minimum of 3 times with Senator Pouliot and the other sponsors of the other related bills to discuss some solutions and a path forward on this, to do that with 3 meetings between now and January.
I just request that at least one committee member be designated to be the person that I would go to ask questions about whether the letter was acceptable or following what the intent was of the letter, rather than just drafting something myself. I assume it would be a letter from the chairs of the committee, so it would probably be possibly the 2 of you, unless you wanted to include someone else.
No, I think that's fine. A letter from the chairs, and you could draft something and send it to Representative Terry and I, and I'm sure whatever you come up with will be fine. And maybe there'll be a suggested change or something, but I don't know. It doesn't have to be a very long letter, I don't think. Does that seem okay, Representative Terry?
Sure.
Okay, great. So we're now in work session on LD 978, and we'll let Julie walk us through the analysis on this bill.
Yeah, I'm sorry to slow you down between committees, but I found that I need to take careful notes about what it is that you're deciding, so that once I look at it, after you've gone away and I no longer have you to ask questions, that I have taken sufficient notes to help me understand what it is that you would like me to do. So sometimes I need a few minutes to finish that process.
No,
Right
that's
now,
fine.
I'm sharing, I just wanted to mention that so you'd know.
Yeah.
We are at 978, I believe. Representative Hepler's bill, an act to create access to justice income tax credit. This is also a bill that you have held a work session on previously and tabled at that time, I believe, to give the sponsor more time to work out some of the questions that arose during the previous work session. The bill would provide an income tax credit for 5 years. This is modeled on a credit that we have available for doctors and dentists who locate in areas of the state where there is a lack of those particular kind of providers. And this bill is modeled on that to provide an income tax credit for at least 5 years for attorneys who agree to practice law for at least 5 years in an underserved area of the state as determined by the Supreme Judicial Court. They would also, in order to be eligible, the attorney would have to agree to accept court appointments in underserved areas, to perform pro bono services in underserved areas, and to be certified by the Supreme Judicial Court as eligible, as having met those standards. The eligibility for the credit designation in the first year would be for 5 years, 2022 through 2027. After 2027, essentially the program would end unless the legislature chose to renew it. This is similar to what has happened with the dental and medical credit. The Supreme Judicial Court would be able to certify 5 attorneys per year, again, similar to the medical credit. The Supreme Judicial Court will report to the Taxation Committee and annually, I think, or maybe it's at the end of the 5 years, and Tax Committee is directed to review the effectiveness of the credit and in the final year and may submit legislation to extend or revise it. Maine Revenue Services has concerns. They indicated their administrative costs would be nominal and could be absorbed, but they did not provide an amount, but given that the credit would be, how much is the credit per year?
It's up to 6
Given that it would
months.
be 5 attorneys for 5 years. The credit is not to exceed $6,000.
Okay. Does that conclude your analysis, Julie?
Yes, it does.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. Committee discussion on LD 978. Let's have Terry.
I just wanted to make sure that the sponsor had I guess that she got all of the work done that needed to get done. It sounds like from Julie that you and Representative Hepler have talked and have worked all of the things. No, you have not. Okay, so I wonder if
No, I was summarizing the original bill. I have not spoken with Representative Hepler about this bill. She is in the group of attendees, so she is here to speak to you.
would you mind if we invited her in, Senator Chipman?
Sure, go ahead. In the meantime, do you have something, Representative Carmichael?
Yes, I was just wondering, thank you, Mr. Chair, I'm sorry. I was wondering about what's the criteria that the court uses in order to designate these credits? I know it's supposed to be underserved areas, but do we know how they identify that? How they get that information?
There is a definition in the bill of underserved area. It means an area of the state that is determined by the court to be an area where there is insufficient access to legal services. When identifying underserved areas, the court shall take into consideration the ratio of the number of attorneys to the population. So that would be the guidance that would be given to the court. The court would then look at the state of Maine and identify what are underserved areas. If I'm recalling correctly, there is currently a program that involves the court and the Maine Law School to encourage law school graduates to take practice in to enter practice in underserved areas. I think Representative Hepler knows more about that than I do at this point, but it's not an area, a subject matter that the court would be new to. It has looked at these issues before, but it would be their job to decide where those areas are.
Yeah, I read that part of, oh, sorry. Thank you. I did read that part of it. I was just wondering if there's a more defined, description that they use. Because it's still pretty broad.
I think that that Ms. Bean from the judiciary has worked with Representative Hepler to make sure that those areas are defined for the places that need it the most.
Okay.
Yeah.
Representative Hepler, we'd like maybe hear from you at this point.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I did meet with a number of people and I did actually talk with Julie, who is so busy, didn't remember that.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. And we did talk about this underserved area, and we don't have, the guidance that's provided in the bill is a starting point, and the judiciary branch and the University of Maine Law School would be happy to work with the Supreme Judicial Court on that. There's statistics on where the areas are and what the ages of the current lawyers are and whatnot. The other thing I was going to say, when I talked to the other folks who, with the questions about what the, maybe $6,000 was too much, that starting attorneys wouldn't make enough to qualify for that. And we batted that around for quite a while. And the sense was from the UMaine Law School and for the overseer of the bar, and also the prior sponsor of the bill, Senator Bailey, was that making it up to $6,000 would be appropriate, in that the sense that changing it, this is the third time this has come before this committee and past this committee, that changing that number to make it lower, even if it would be more accurate in terms of their taxable income, would send the wrong message to young attorneys and about the value of this project. I actually, in terms of starting attorney salaries, got numbers from the Office of the Attorney General's office that starting salaries were about $57,000, and I sent that number to Mike Allen at MRS, who said that refund, the non-refundable, let's see, would be about 20 at a salary of 57,000 would be about 2,500. So it would, for the starting salary of the Office of the Attorney General's, it would be obviously would not be $6,000. Yeah, I don't know if any other questions I can answer on that.
Any additional questions, members of the committee, for the sponsor? Representative Terry.
I have no further questions. I wanted to thank Representative Hepler because I know she did a ton of work on this, making sure going to fall in line with our other credits that are similar to this, because as she knows, because I've told her and this committee knows, I think that we should be as consistent as possible in this committee, not only for the taxpayers and the businesses of the state, but also to keep our friends at MRS sane. So I would like to make a motion ought to pass as amended by the sponsor with a fiscal note.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Representative Terry, seconded by Representative Collins, of ought to pass as amended. Further committee discussion?
Looks like Julie's got her hand raised.
Julie's got her hand up.
And first of all, I want to apologize to Representative Hepler. I did find notes in my file that I had spoken to her. However, for some reason, I had written down Tepler rather than Hepler. And I'm sure I know the difference. It's probably confusion that I experience frequently, I'm guessing. But my question is, what is the amendment? Because I know you discussed a lot of things, but I didn't quite catch what the nature of the amendment is.
And actually, I will take that back because I think we had asked her to see if there was amendments necessary for that $6,000, for that up to $6,000 credit. So I think that we are gonna stick with that. So the only amendment would be the fiscal note. My apologies. I'm glad you said something before everybody voted on it.
All right. Any further committee discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion, please signify. So that is unanimous of all members present. Maybe you want to read the names, Avery?
Yeah, I have Senators Chipman and Pouliot, Representatives Terry, Collings, Gramlich, Matlack, Perry, Sachs, Bickford, and Carmichael and Hanley.
Okay. So that's unanimous. So we'll close the work session on LD 978 and we'll move right into work session on LD 1222. This is Senator Black's bill and act to reduce property taxes of seniors in an equal amount to the cost of education.
Yes, this is the bill that would provide, it calls it a property tax exemption, but I don't know as exemption is exactly the right word for it. But it would provide that individuals who are 65 years of age or older would receive a reduction in their taxes equal to the value of the amount of those taxes, equal in value to the amount of those taxes the municipality in which the real estate is located would otherwise use to fund its public schools. I assume that what this is doing is essentially backing out school funding from the property tax commitment and calculating a mill rate based upon what it would be to raise funding the municipalities raising for sources other than education, and that would be the mill rate that would apply to the property. Rather than actually being an exemption, which is usually a certain amount of the value of the property. The bill would apply to property tax years beginning on or after April 1st, 2021. That year would, in terms of any property taxes applying to April 1st, 2021, at this point is going to be administratively difficult because the value of the property on that date is already being used for purposes of calculating property taxes. And certainly bills are going to be going out before this bill would take effect. It's not an emergency. So you might want to consider the year for that. There is the question of constitutionality under the provision of the Constitution that says property taxes must be assessed equally and according to just value. I don't recall a case that would be like this one, but where clearly every property tax owner is going to be treated differently, and in different municipalities, because the amount of the school funding that's going to be counted in each municipality is going to be different. Can't tell you for sure whether it's unconstitutional, but I'd be very suspicious.
Okay. Representative Terry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Julie, is there, again, same question, any means test that's in this particular bill as to the need for folks that are over 65 to need their property tax abated that much?
No, it would be anyone who is 65 or older.
Thank you.
And it's any property. It's not just a homestead.
Oh,
Go ahead, Representative Perry.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to move on not to pass.
second.
We have a motion made by Representative Perry of ought not to pass and seconded by Chair Terry. Any further committee discussion? Seeing none, we'll go to a vote. All those in favor, please signify. That is unanimous of all members present. If you want to read off the names, Avery.
Yeah, I have Senators Chipman and Pouliot, Terry, Collings, Gramlich, Matlack, Perry, and Sachs, and Bickford, Hanley, and Carmichael.
All right, so we'll close the work session on LD 1222, and we will go into work session on LD 1667. This is Representative Sheehan's bill that we talked about a little bit earlier, but you can let Julie walk us through the analysis and decide what we'd like to do on this bill.
Bringing up the chart. LD 1667 is Representative Sheehan's bill. This would provide a tax credit. It's modeled quite closely on the Educational Opportunity Program credit, but instead, which is restricted to degrees, either associate degrees, bachelor's degrees, or graduate degrees. This bill would apply to certificates received from an accredited post-secondary educational institution denoting completion of a course of study required for an occupation or to enter or advance in an occupation. So it's very closely modeled. I won't go into the details on it. It's essentially to duplicate the educational opportunity credit, but with regard to professional certificates that are earned by attendance at institutions that provide that type of training.
Okay. Committee discussion on LD 1667. Senator Pouliot.
So I think we're going to be able to incorporate this already into what we were talking about earlier. So I would make a motion of ought not to pass.
We have a motion made by Senator Pouliot of ought not to pass and seconded by, I couldn't see who seconded it. Was that Representative Hanley?
Second.
Representative Perry, I'm sorry. I can't see everybody on the screen. Go ahead. Thank you. So we've got a motion of ought not to pass made by Senator Pouliot, seconded by Representative Perry. Any further committee discussion on LD 1667? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion, please signify. That's unanimous of all members present. You can read off the names.
I have Senators Chipman and Pouliot, Representatives Terry, Collings, Gramlich, Matlack, Perry, Sachs, Bickford, Hanley, and Carmichael.
All right, so that's unanimous of all members present. So we'll close the work session on LD 1667. And I believe we only have one more bill left to take up, which is Senator Jackson's bill, LD 1713, enact increased workforce skills for the revitalization of Maine's paper industry through the establishment of an income tax credit for paper manufacturing workforce training. And is Senator Jackson with us? Maybe we want to bring him into the meeting if he's here.
I don't see him.
Or is Max Rush with us? Maybe he.
No.
No. Okay.
You've been moving pretty quickly. You might.
Well, yeah. So I don't know if someone wants to reach out to Senator Jackson. He may have some. It looks like there's an amendment that he mentioned at the public hearing, and we may want to hear from him more about that. But if you can reach out to him, Avery. In the meantime, we'll have Julie walk us through the analysis in the bill.
Yeah, I'll try the office.
Okay, great.
Yes, Senator Jackson's bill is originally conceived of as an income tax credit for based upon the amount of workforce training wages paid to certain employees of the business. It is changed substantially in the amendment that he submitted at the public hearing, so that it's probably best to talk about that version, I guess, rather than the original bill. As revised in the new in the proposed amendment, it would be based not upon workforce training wages, but on the amount of qualified investment made by a paper manufacturing company. It would provide the qualified investment must be at least $15 million before January 1st, 2024 to acquire, modernize, or improve machinery used to produce paper. The applicant must employ at least 400 employees, at least 75% of whom must earn at least 115% of the annual per capita personal income for the county where they're employed. It must not be located in a low-income community as defined in the federal New Markets Credit Law. The business must be headquartered in Maine. The cumulative credits for all certified applicants may not exceed $1.6 million per year or $16 million in total. So the credits would be available for a 10-year period. The details beyond that, I'm going to have to defer to Senator Jackson or perhaps interested parties in the bill to provide you more detail. But it's very similar to the food manufacturing credit that you enacted last year, I think, or the year before.
Okay, Representative Bickford.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to make a motion out to pass as amended, excuse me, with Senator Jackson's amendment plus any fiscal note.
Okay. Is there a second? Seconded by Representative Matlack. It's a motion made by Representative Bickford ought to pass as amended using Senator Jackson's amendment, including the fiscal note, and seconded by Representative Matlack. Is there any further committee discussion on LD 1713?
I have a quick question for Julie.
Sure, go ahead, Representative Terry.
Julie, do you have most of what you need in order to do that, and can get any defining language from Senator Jackson when he or his designee can have a discussion with you?
I believe that the amendment he submitted would be adequate to draft an amendment, his proposed amendment. It's comprehensive. I don't believe, though, we've heard from Maine Revenue Services with regard to the proposed amendment, so I'm not sure whether they have issues that they feel need to be addressed.
Looks like
I have enough to draft something. I'm just not sure how adequate it would be from the perspective of Maine Revenue Services.
Great. Let's, it looks like Mr. D'Alessandro has his hand up. If we could hear from him at this time.
Hi, thank you.
Go ahead.
My name is Daniel D'Alessandro, and I'm an attorney with the Office of Tax Policy. So we're still reviewing the amended language. We just received this at the public hearing. And we will have some technical concerns with this bill. It looks like it was drafted based on earlier versions of the corporate headquarters and food processing credit. But last session, as part of the department bill, the act to amend, there were several technical changes to the food processing credit. And we're working to incorporate them into this language as well. And we would respectively request another couple of days if Wednesday or Thursday would be possible to complete those.
Okay. So you're asking that we not vote on the bill today and wait till another day.
Right, and then we can finish our work and have the changes that were made last session to the food processing credit ready to go with this as well.
I mean, could we still vote on the bill and we could work on that and we could discuss that when we do language review on the amendment? Or would that be not a preferable way to go?
I think that would be up to the committee.
I mean, would that still accomplish what you're hoping to accomplish if we were to vote on it today and then discuss anything else during language review? Go ahead, Representative Terry. I think you're on mute, Representative Terry.
Oh, sorry. Yes, I guess I was. There's actually something in my house. So based on our first bill and how quickly we tried to do that without hearing MRS's concerns, I think I would prefer to have them finish the work on this first. I mean, we have a long list of things to do on Thursday, but at the same time, I think we will be able to do them very quickly. My concern with voting on the bill and having the language get seen, have us see the language for the first time on Thursday or at the amendment review would not give us the right amount of time to make any changes if something were to come up that was considerably different from what we were seeing.
Yeah.
So I support the idea of holding off.
So Mr. D'Alessandro, would you think you'd be able to get this done by Thursday?
Yes. Yes, I think we can.
In order and be able to do. Okay. Go ahead, Representative Bickford.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to withdraw my motion and ask that we table this until Thursday.
Second.
Thank you.
Okay. So the motion's been withdrawn, and there's been a motion made to table LD 1713 by Representative Bickford and seconded by Representative Terry. So it's the tabling motion, so it's not something we can discuss. Do you have a question, Representative Sachs? Oh, okay. So I guess we're ready to vote on the tabling motion. All those in favor? So that's unanimous of all members present.
So for those supporting the tabling motion, I have Senators Chipman and Pouliot, Representatives Terry, Collings, Gramlich, Matlack, Perry, Sachs, Bickford, Hanley, and Carmichael.
All right. So we'll close the work session on LD 1713, which is our final work session of the day. Do you have anything for us, Julie?
No, I don't have anything more.
No amendments or anything? Okay. Senator Pouliot.
Not today. There'll be some tomorrow. I haven't had time to prepare them for today's meeting for your review, but there will be some tomorrow.
Excellent. Thank you. Did you have something, Senator Pouliot? No. Do you have anything for us, Representative Terry, or should we adjourn?
No, I think we're good. Again, Thursday will be a very big day for us. If we can get as many people here as possible, this will be the day that we will be going through. I've said this before, but it's worth mentioning again in case anyone missed it. We will be going through all of our tabled bills and getting our carryover list ready for the presiding officers. So if there are any questions about anything that are on our list that you can see so far for Thursday, if you have any questions of the sponsors, if there's anything anywhere that you want to discuss prior to Thursday, now's the time to do it. It will be our last day of meeting as a committee, other than amendment review, right, Julie? No.
Actually, while we were meeting this morning, we had an email from the executive director's office saying that the legislative council had approved on a ballot a new bill, an act to amend the sales tax exemption for nonprofit housing development organizations, sponsored by Representative, is it Geer, G-E-R-E? I don't know her. It has been approved by ballot of the Legislative Council for introduction as an after deadline bill. So you have one more bill, I assume. I don't know whether it'll be referred to committee, but it's in the works.
Well,
Well, since they approved it, a bill at the last minute, they wouldn't probably object to us having a public hearing next week sometime, would they?
Okay, well, so let's try to get all of our work done on Thursday. And if we don't, we don't. Okay, fair enough.
Preemptively carried over.
Is that everything?
The plan is to have, except for this one bill, the work sessions done this week for our committee. Is that right?
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah, we're scheduled to finish everything. Well, I guess we're going to take up this last bill. It'll be 1713 on Thursday, but all the other work sessions will be finished on Wednesday. Tomorrow.
That's very exciting.
It's very exciting.
Great job, everyone.
All right. I guess that concludes all our work for this morning. So great to see everybody. We'll adjourn the meeting for today and see everybody tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock.
9:30.
9:30. Is it 9:30? Sorry about that. 9:30 tomorrow. All right. All right. We'll see you then.